What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. If you're in America or a place that celebrates Thanksgiving, perhaps Hong Kong will be celebrating Thanksgiving today. I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. I just got done setting up my tree, and I've got about an hour or two of free time, so why wouldn't I help many of you who are stuck with insufferable family? I mean, family you love deeply and are thankful that you only see on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and maybe Easter. I thought I might give you a respite, a small break, 5-10 minutes maybe, just to tune everything out. Now, Star Wars, The Rise of the Skywalker, is perhaps the most important movie Disney is making right now, or has made in the last 5 years. Why? Well, because they've really bungled it. Regardless of whether or not you liked them all or disliked them all, I think it's fair to say that the reception to the multi-director, multi-changes, many edits, it would appear that Disney themselves isn't exactly super happy about them either. And I, for one, think that they can still recover this. I think that the Star Wars fandom, whether you're a Star Wars fan or you're a member of the Fandom Menace, it doesn't necessarily matter. I think that it can be saved with major, and I mean major changes, and that's not going to happen with the same old guard doing it. Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, Ron Howard. I want some new blood. I want somebody who isn't on every dang major film. I want somebody who is revolutionary, who's going to take risks, not just take their marching orders from Disney themselves and give them a strong woman character. That's how you end up with what is commonly referred to as a Mary Sue. Now, maybe if you're watching these videos, you know what a Mary Sue is. Maybe you don't. Essentially, a Mary Sue is an idealized, seemingly perfect fictional character. Typically, they're a female character who is depicted as lacking flaws. They have never had to suffer. They're just perfect in every way. And there's been a very fierce debate online about Rey and how she's a Mary Sue. Obviously, she's a Mary Sue. There's no denying that. The arguments against it are ridiculous because, well, we'll take a look at some of them, but of course she's a Mary Sue. We've never seen her struggle. We've never really, she trained with the lightsaber for like 2 minutes, and then she defeats Kylo Ren, who's trained his whole life. I'm sure that's normal. There's just, I'm not going to get angry. Of course she's a Mary Sue. I'm not even going to have that conversation. But now we're starting to see The Mandalorian's Baby Yoda further exposes the fandom's Mary Sue hypocrisy. And look at Joe chiming in here with a good take. Really bad take here, guys, but enjoy the drama clicks. If the writer is upset that people have called Rey a Mary Sue, rightfully, currently, that should be addressed by JJ in Rise of the Skywalker. And I've got confidence he will. No need to attack a baby who's better written so far. Zing! Great take, Joe. Love it. And we look at this, and everyone's dredging it up. Everyone's always... Here's the thing. If Rey wasn't widely seen as a Mary Sue, why are journos and blogs, places like CBR, which is a corporate shill website, why are they always fighting against it? Why are they always working so hard to prove everyone wrong? There's a huge consistency problem surrounding Star Wars. No, we're not referring to the plot holes or the quality from film to film. Yet there are discussions to be had regarding either issue. The consistency problem happens to rest on the shoulders of some vocal fans in their criticism of Rey in the sequel trilogy, specifically in how her use of the Force is deemed unwarranted, and the Baby Yoda in his precious Force antics on The Mandalorian have not fallen to the same level of scrutiny. Exposes further hypocrisy in the aforementioned faction of fans. Now, that, you might be saying to yourself, is an Olympic level stretch. You'd be right. Before anyone takes to the comment section with their pitchforks and torches, let it be known that we love Baby Yoda. In fact, questioning whether your love for your own children as much as a tiny green tyke seems to be a common reaction. Baby Yoda is neutral playing field for Star Wars fans. There is a unifying the tribe is spoken mentality when it comes to shoveling tons of praise on the Force-sensitive toddler. Railing against Baby Yoda on social media would be the internet equivalent to kicking a puppy. Probably true. The claim as to why Rey irks some fans often centered around the idea of the young Jedi in training being too good at space magic too quickly. See, this sentence here is hilarious, right? It's all just fictional and none of it matters when we're using it to defend Rey, an obvious Mary Sue. But it's super serious business when you're talking about how it pushes gender norms aside and how she's a strong female character. Then it's super serious, but it's just space magic when it's a legitimate criticism. Some critics of Rey have referred to her as a Mary Sue, citing her intuitive relationship with the Force as being contrived. It's not just the Force, by the way. I gave you a perfect example earlier. Basically, no time passes, and she's a superior trained fighter defeating Kylo Ren, who's trained his whole life. It's ridiculous. Kylo Ren has seen real battle, and I'm supposed to just accept the fact that she lived on a dangerous planet, so therefore she's good as a lifelong trained soldier. Now, it would be a valid point if the previous young protagonists from the prior trilogies didn't exhibit similar feats of Force strength. But Rey Jedi mind-tricked James Bond and beat the Sith Lord with zero training, you might say. And you'd be right. There'd be no denying that what has been committed to film. But pretending as an idea of the Chosen One hasn't been Star Wars bread and butter, then to start is simply ridiculous. Rey's journey is no more contrived than any of the Skywalker lads. Bull. First of all, bull. Second of all, so are you admitting that she's a Mary Sue then? Are you trying to defend her, but did you just accidentally admit that she's a Mary Sue by saying, well, everyone else was too? The same can be said for how The Mandalorian portrays Baby Yoda's use of the Force. If we're going to scrutinize a character for being untrained or too young to be more powerful than characters that came before them, then Baby Yoda should be the gold standard of perceived narrative transgression. In the second episode, The Mandalorian The Child, we see a green toddler use the Force to stop a 2-ton mudhorn from pulverizing our hero. Sure, Baby Yoda is 50 years old, but as IG-11 pointed out, species age differently, so unless Baby Yoda had been training in secret Jedi preschool for the last half-century, his sudden display of power is even more contrived than Rey tricking a stormtrooper or taking down Kylo Ren, who had just been hit in the stomach earlier. No, it isn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Baby Yoda is not the star of the film, first of all. Or the show, at least currently. And Baby Yoda having an emotional response, right, to that could be wild and uncontrolled. It could have been hit or miss. Maybe Baby Yoda was just as likely to explodiate the hero. But it didn't work that way. Baby Yoda didn't defeat somebody in combat who's been specifically trained for that their entire life. Baby Yoda made a thing stop one time. We don't know if Baby Yoda could do that on command. We don't know if Baby Yoda could continue to do that. That's the difference. The same could be said for how The Mandalorian portrays... Oh, we hit that already. Again, this is all par for the course for Star Wars. Luke underwent one blindfolded lightsaber section and got a few cryptic New Age teachings from a guy he'd just met, and was also a 1 in a million shot to destroy the Death Star long before he met Master Yoda. Sure. But Luke pulls off is by no means as ostentatious as the display of power we see from Rey. But pretend like there isn't a precedent for it is really splitting hairs. It's trying to qualify something which, up until the prequel trilogy, was always portrayed as being mystical. The sort of qualification leads to straw man arguments. Seeing amazing displays of mystic abilities should be something to marvel at. To say Luke has more, quote, force points at whatever metric we're measuring as an invisible energy field with, then Rey is goofy, in a line of thinking that leads us down a dark path of midichlorians. Look, what this person's saying is, you don't like Rey because woman. You know, I don't think a lot of people said anything about Princess Leia, did they? I don't believe so. The fact of the matter is, Rey is a Mary Sue, and you whining about it isn't going to change that. Now, does that ruin the film? No, I don't think it does. And I don't think that asking the audience to take a leap of faith and accept that this person is trained and you know, got to where they are off screen is unbelievable. Look at all the Marvel films. Do you see a lot of training going on? In some cases with Captain America, we get some spots, we get to see something. We never really see him train. But we're willing to accept it because it's a superhero film and they're presented as a superhero and it's implied, all right? At no point do I think that it was ever implied that Rey had trained with a lightsaber all of the time off screen. I don't think it's ever been implied that she was some sort of great fighter. She just is. And when you take into account what we know of Disney and what Bob Iger has said specifically, that having a strong female lead is what Disney wants. Now, when you start with that, what happens to the quality of writing surrounding it? When you start with this and you backfill, you're going to end up forgetting a lot of things. And if all you care about is having a strong female character, well, that's what you're going to get. People are going to see that. And I don't think, as I said, I don't think it ruins the film. And I don't think this is anything against Daisy Ridley, who plays the forehead fine, all right? I don't love her character because she's thrust into the limelight as some super powerful being who's flawless, and you just don't buy it. I think that's ultimately what happens, and if you're asking yourself, why aren't I buying it? It's probably because the director has had poor writing in place so that you just wonder, how did this person get so powerful? Everyone else had this long path to do it, and some people went to train, and some people, you know, have had other, how do you say, they have a longer on-film presence. They've been around in the Star Wars universe longer. So what we have here is a plant, essentially, right? And now they're just backfilling, and that just feels odd. Ultimately, trying to apply much logic to the mysticism of Star Wars is a fool's errand. The fact that some fans rely on arbitrary scale to deem which Force users are more, quote, worthy than others kind of defeats the whole idea of what makes a Jedi such a compelling fantasy in the first place. Again, this is misdirection. I don't think people are like I mean, I'm sure at Star Wars, some people have debated, you know, Force points. But I don't think that's the majority. People just don't like how the character's written and how she just comes on screen and takes over and never struggles and never has any real risk and is just walking through and doing whatever they want. You know, when you talk about the 1 in a million shot about the Death Star, yeah, it was implied that it would be an extremely lucky, extremely dangerous mission, and many people were lost. Did we lose the star of the movie? No. Did he get lucky? Yeah. So you built up that. You said he's going to be lucky if he gets this, and then it happened, all right? He didn't just do it because reasons. Anakin was a terrible human. Luke was a bored and seemingly impoverished farm boy, and Rey was an orphan who resorted to working for food while living in a memento of the wars which came before the First Order tormented the galaxy. Yes, all these characters had very humble beginnings. That doesn't change the fact that Rey is a Mary Sue, and that lands squarely on the feet of those who make the film and are more concerned with having a strong female lead than writing a good script. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.